Very interesting. Yeah, speaking of consumer chain, that's really one key component, I guess, for all the .sama, I don't know how they call it, .sama community. It's probably the equivalent to a parachain on Polkadot or Kusama. But there are also different types of consumer chains, right? I'm just having the latest Twitter thread. There's a contract consumer chain and a custom consumer chain. So maybe you can walk us through what the difference is and how consumer chains work. Because I guess the key thing to really understand is that the consumer chains don't have to set up their own validator set, right? And I guess that counts for both types of consumer chains, right?
Yeah, that's right. So the contract and custom consumer chains are, I would say that they're kind of they're products built with interchain security. So interchain security is like very flexible, and because it just keeps validator sets in sync. So it's just like a very kind of flexible general tool. And custom consumer chain, that's just where if you have a Cosmos SDK chain, you install the interchain security module on it, you hook it up to the hub, you have to get a governance proposal passed on the hub to get it to get the validator set to start validating it. That's your consumer chain, and it's basically wide open. Like, you do anything you want. Another thing I haven't mentioned yet with interchain security is that you have to consumer chains have the ability to send a proportion of their staking rewards and inflation to the hub validators and delegators, and that all happens automatically. We're suggesting the proportion of 75-25 because that's 75 to the consumer chain and 25 to the hub, because that's just I think a decent starting place, but that might evolve as we see. It's up to really hub governance and also prospective consumer chains to kind of arrive at what seems good. So maybe it'll be different, but that's kind of the base. Like, custom consumer chains, basically anything you can hook up and you can get through hub governance, that's your consumer chain. And the contract consumer chain is a little bit of something where we want to make it a little bit easier for people to launch consumer chains, maybe people from communities such as Ethereum, where they're used to kind of just being able to deploy stuff very quickly and not deal with kind of putting together a whole blockchain and stuff like that. And so the contract consumer chain has some restrictions attached to it, which basically make it easier to deploy. And this is actually something, when I first started in interchain security, was talking with Sunny about this. And Sunny was always saying, hey, we got to have a way to make it really easy for projects to deploy consumer chains. And one of the biggest hurdles for deploying consumer chains is actually just literally just like dealing with Cosmos SDK. So I wrote this thing in October last year, which was what I wrote a Google Doc called Multiverse. I did tweet. I don't think it got a lot. We didn't make a blog post or anything like that, but that was imagining, like, how do you have the most number of consumer chains possible at all? And that's basically by saying consumer chains have to implement their logic as a Cosmos contract. So what that allows you to do is it makes it so validators on the hub, when they look at a prospective consumer chain, they don't have to like right now, a Cosmos SDK application, it's literally a program that runs on a computer, and it can do anything on the computer. Like any program can on a computer. It can reformat your hard drive or whatever it is. So it's validators on the hub, they have to study it carefully to a consumer chain, a custom consumer chain. They have to look at that, and they have to like audit it, because somebody could make a custom consumer chain where it's like stealing their keys, or like literally deleting their hard drive, or what have you. Like there's unlimited possibilities with Cosmos SDK, but there's also unlimited possibilities for attack. So validators can't just willy-nilly start running them. But if you make the consumer chains, you have this restriction that all logic has to be implemented as a CosmWasm contract. CosmWasm is running in a sandbox. WASM is meant for browsers. And so WASM in browsers allows any website to run any code they want on your computer, and you still don't get hacked.
Mm.
And so the WASM sandbox is very strong. And so code in there cannot do malicious things. I mean, in most cases, there's rare, vulnerabilities that come up and stuff, but it can't do malicious things the computer is running on. And so with all logic implemented as a contract, it means that validators can basically just just say, if somebody wants to run a contract consumer chain, they can run it, and we don't have to think about whether or not it's a good idea. Because if they have enough traffic that it makes it worth it, then they can run it. And so that's basically the contract consumer chain is more of it gives developers a sandbox to play in. The other thing is also it's a lot easier, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions, to write CosmWasm contracts than it is to write Cosmos SDK stuff, because it's just you're working on a higher level. It's more conveniences and stuff, and so that also makes it easier for developers who are used to smart contracts. The other thing, we have a few other restrictions on the contract consumer chain. Another one is that it has to use atoms for fees, and it has to be the 75-25 split. And so the 75% of the gas fees that are paid in atoms on a contract consumer chain, that 75% that's going to the chain itself is actually going to a developer DAO. And the developer DAO will use something that looks a lot like Cosmos governance now, have community pool and stuff like that. But that DAO will be getting 75% of the gas fees. So if you think about something like Uniswap on Ethereum, Compound, these blue chip DeFi contracts on Ethereum, they often are run by a DAO, Urine, I think, as well. And they can govern the code on Uniswap with the Uni token. So Uni token holders are kind of members of this DAO. And right now, as far as I'm aware, though, that Uni DAO, it doesn't accrue any fees. They have the ability to maybe turn on a switch and get some fees off of every Uniswap transaction that happens, in addition to the gas fees. But they're certainly not getting the gas fees. The Uniswap the Uniswap DAO is not getting gas fees from people using Uniswap. And if they were, they'd be making a huge amount of money, because huge amount of gas goes into Uniswap as one of the dominant applications on Ethereum. So they don't really see any of that gas fee money; it just goes straight to the miners. So with the contract consumer chain thing, and then also custom consumer chains as well. The contract consumer chain is just a little bit more of a tight feature set for people to be able to work with and think about. The contract consumer chain, you have that DAO that could be running your smart contract that's running on that consumer chain, and it's also getting all this revenue in from gas fees. So you have most of the benefits of an independent Cosmos chain. You also have the full security of the Cosmos hub, and you're still getting a lot of fees, and also super easy to deploy. So that was kind of taking the pieces that exist in interchain security, all the tools that it makes available, and turning them into more of a kind of cohesive product that you can present to people.
Yeah.